Hi, good evening, and welcome to my daily live session on various tools and methods from my toolkit for execution excellence. My name is Dinakar. I am the founder of Samutana and the inventor of Duhao. So, with this brief introduction, let me directly jump into the recap of the tool which I explained on Friday. I'm sure you would have had a nice weekend. And now again, today being just one day in India, tomorrow again is a national holiday. So many of you may be enjoying the long weekend. Even in that case, I would like to start off on a Monday. So hope that you had a nice weekend. And let's me get back to the topic of Friday, which was the business health check from Samutana, and that was mainly to look at the business from a holistic perspective from three angles. One is uh, perception by the stakeholders and performance by the organization and the various functions, and the potential that the people in the organization have to enhance the performance. These are the three areas that I spoke about, and also suggested if you want you could download it and then have a look at the checklist and also go through that particular assessment for yourself, and also try to do it for one competitor or somebody whom you feel is better than you, so that you can have a benchmark and can be a guide for you to further improve. With that very brief recap, let me now get on to today's topic, which is something more technical. It is nothing what should I say, holistic or very, very generic in nature. What we're talking about today is lean line balancing. I am sorry, I corrected my spelling last Friday when I showed you the spelling was wrong. So now it's corrected. So, line balancing. What is line balancing all about? In any production setup, be it service or be it production, be it a service or a product production, there would normally be a sequence of operations of anything that is being mass produced. These sequence of operations are called as maybe they could be part of an assembly line, or they could be part of a set of operations which are individual machines. Uh, it could be anything. So now, if suppose there are a set of operations and set of sequence of activities involved, unless the cycle times of each of these are balanced to some extent, especially when it's an assembly line. If they're individual machines, it's not that critical because you could use the free capacity for something else. But whereas if it's an assembly line, the free capacity which one would have because of the faster cycle time on one particular station would not be of any use at all, because you can't really do anything in that particular station, since they are all interlinked stations, which is the concept of an assembly line. So when it comes to an assembly line, the most important thing is to balance the line. When it is a set of manufacturing machines or equipment which are let us say part of a manufacturing line or part of a shop, there the line balancing to such a great extent may not be very intelligent, because if you balance the line, you're going to lose the utilization. It's the multiplication of the probability that gives you the output as far as the overall utilization is concerned. Therefore, balancing the capacity to the finest extent when it comes to a set of individual machines, it may not really be of any big intelligence. In fact, it would be contra to really working only on one constraint to get that production up. So if you are working only on one constraint, one machine, and if that production goes up, then you really reduce the bottleneck, change the constraint, so the next one becomes the constraint, then it's easy to manage. So therefore, when it's a natural set of machines, generally as nature would have it, there would be variation, and this variation would mean that each one would have a different cycle time. Don't try to balance that individual machines, but you need to balance the machines which are hard linked to each other, like an assembly line, where there is no possibility of using a particular station in an assembly line only for some other component. It's not possible. So you have to balance the line there. When it is a hard linked, hard connected, physically connected stations or machines, it could also be a transfer line. There also balancing is extremely important, because if one stops, then the entire thing stops. There is no possibility of running an assembly line or a transfer line with only one machine running, or two machines running, or 10 machines running out of 20. It's not possible. So therefore, line balancing is a mandatory thing there. So what is the concept of line balancing? This diagram, what you see here, I have not really put it on a bigger size. Maybe I can do that so that you can see the diagram. It's nothing great. It's a diagram which has got columns, and each column represents the total cycle time. Cycle time is the total amount of time that one requires to particularly to perform a particular task or an operation in that particular station. So each has got two colors there. You can see that one is gray color, the other one is orange color. Why are these two colors shown? It's very simple. One would be a machine control time. The other one would be a man control time. In any of these assembly operations, there will always be two different types of times. If it's a fully automatic machine, like the automatic station, like the second and the fifth in the graph, which is shown by gray color, which we assume is the machine control time, for example, then those two are fully automated machines. Or the contrary, if we say that the orange one is the machine control time, then the last but one station and the sixth station would be automated stations, where there is no need for any manual intervention at all. It is controlled by the process, everything is done automatically. Whereas in the other stations, there would be part of the manual content and part of the automated content, which is the man control time, machine control time. If you take the case of the second and the third, if I assume that the orange one is the machine control time, the gray one is the man control time. In the second and the fifth stations, it is 100% manual operation. There is no automation at all. There is absolutely no machine control time at all. Now, these two times are required first to be understood. You need to measure the times, and then how do you measure the time? There are two ways of doing it. Machine control time is quite easy. You could even hook on an oscilloscope or some kind of a measuring device where it can measure the automatic times. That's one possibility. If it is a man control time, then you need to measure it. That is one possibility, where you take a stopwatch and measure it. When you are measuring it, one needs to be careful of the variations between cycles. If the cycle to cycle variation is more than 10% of the value that you measured, if suppose let us say 10 seconds was the cycle time, or maybe 1 minute was the cycle time, 60 seconds was the cycle time. So if you measure 20 cycles, and in the 20 cycles, the total range of the measurements you did, the minimum and the maximum cycle time you got is is more than 10%, then it means that the person is not trained fully. But because when you are trained fully, then the subconscious is the one that performs the assembly operation. At that time, the cycle to cycle variation will be very, very less. Otherwise, it will be quite high. If you're trying to do physically with conscious mind, it will be quite a big variation. Therefore, after you do the measurements, also please check what is the variation from cycle to cycle. In my experience, if it is less than 5%, then it is really good. That means the person is fully trained. Then there is no need for any worry. He'll only work at that cycle time. Then it has come something which is very, very important to note. So once you have done the two measurements, you have plotted this graph, you see the man-machine, this is called as the man-machine chart, also can be called as, where you got the process control time and the man control time. Now you see that the station number 6 starting from the left, or the station number 5 starting from the end, you have a big cycle time, and that is the constraint. So therefore, the cycle time of the line is defined by the station number 6. Now, this particular station, if you see, runs, let us say, at 10 seconds, whereas the station number 8, which is a very, very fast cycle time, because it is getting completed, it's an automated cycle time, there is no manual intervention at all, it's totally automatic, only process control time is there. And there the timing is very, very low, which means that particular station would be waiting for the component to be coming to the station, because the components or the assemblies or the sub-assemblies are getting throttled in station number 6. So in such a situation, it is important to understand how to balance the line. First is to make sure that whatever graph you have done is really the actual reality. So once you have done this graph, you know that the components have to get blocked in station number 6. You can go to the assembly line once every 15 minutes, half an hour, or once in an hour. Make sure that always there is a traffic jam behind station number 6. If that is not the case, then your data is wrong. That is a physical validation. Once that validation is done, then you get this graph, and then now you break it down into minute elements of the activity. For example, the station number 6 may have multiple elements of the activity, which could be tightening, which could be loosening, which could be fixing, which could be clamping, which could be testing, which could be checking. So all these things, minute elemental times you try to measure. Now comes the next level. And then once you have done that, use the post-its. That is very simple. And then cut the post-its to the scale, and then try to shift them to the different stations. As you do that, then you would be in a position to get a better matched cycle time. That means, let us say in the case of this particular example, assembly number 6, station 6, may have a activity of removing a workpiece carrier from the assembly, for example. After the assembly is done, the operator has to remove the sub-assembly or the assembly from the workpiece carrier and give it back to the earlier stations. Now, that activity can be possibly done by station number 7, because the station number 7 still has a lot of time. One option. The second option is that can also be done by station number 9, who also has a lot of time. You understand? So that once you do that, then this time gets shifted to that particular station. When that gets shifted, then the times of those stations will increase. And that's how you keep balancing it. Every time you do that, what I have learned practically is you need to go and physically check whether it works or not. We did that activity with one of our clients recently. And there they were manufacturing, when we started the activity sometime in the month of August, about 30 numbers per hour. And today they are at 80 numbers per hour and want to touch 120 numbers per hour. So we're talking about 4 months, we really shot up the production significantly. It's an assembly line. Now, that is one which is very, very important. And what is the advantage of line balancing? That's again something which you may ask. You may find, why the hell should I do line balancing? One is to even out the capacity so that you can get the best out of the line. That is the first thing. And the second thing is very, very important, extremely important, more than the first thing, to be able to create a rhythm. See, once you are able to create a rhythm, the assembly looks like music. Imagine having an orchestra where you don't have that kind of a rhythm established. Then you can't really, the music doesn't sound nice to the ears, isn't it? So that's the basic fundamental principle of line balancing. If the lines are balanced, then it will be having a rhythm, and that rhythm will be very, very nice and pleasing to see. One. And second is, it will be very, very nice and pleasing to work. It will not be tiring at all, because once you have trained that to that rhythm and you're doing it in the subconscious, you really don't put any effort at all. See, like I've been speaking quite regularly now for almost about 3-4 months now, every day. So I don't really put any effort at all. Whatever that I speak comes from my subconscious, and that's it. I don't really spend more than 10 minutes for the activity in the evening, or 15 minutes for the activity in the evening, and that's it. I don't have any other effort to really get prepared or talk or anything like that. That kind of a flow happens if there is a rhythm. So that's the reason for a rhythm. So with that, thanks a lot for watching my explanation of the toolkit from my toolkit, very, very important tool called as line balancing. And now let me give you a very, very brief peek into what is it that I'm going to be talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow's day is very, very important. Tomorrow is the Republic Day of India. So tomorrow, my topic would be the latest excellence model from EFQM. EFQM is European Foundation for Quality Management. I'll be speaking of this excellence model. Please do come by and have a look and watch in the evening. And till the time, for those of you in India, have a nice evening. For those of you outside India, have a great day. And wish you both a very, very nice Republic Day. I'm basically referring to all the Indians. For the others, have a nice work day tomorrow. And before I leave, let me just give you a very, very small information. See, I've been doing this webinar or web workshop on Duha. If any of you is interested, please register to that. It's there on the screen. You can see the registration link. It's a kind of a, I keep talking about Duha. Again, you see at my back, whatever I put as the background. It's a method I've invented. You can have a look, experience that this Sunday at 11 o'clock. You can register and then participate. Thanks a lot. And see you tomorrow evening with my explanation of the EFQM model, which is released sometime last year. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.